Nevada is vast, with the Great Basin covering the majority of the state. You can drive for many miles without seeing any signs of civilization. Near the heart of the state, in the most middle of nowhere I think I've ever been, is one of Nevada's best state parks, Berlin Ichthyosaur. You might wonder why such a strange name. Well, the park has two main points of interest: the remains of an Old West mining town and dinosaur-age fossils. And best of all, you can camp there. In today's episode, we'll take a close look at the campground and tell you everything you need to know to prepare for a trip to Berlin Ichthyosaur.
Ichthyosaur.
Okay, so we mentioned the vastness of Nevada, and taking a drive out to Berlin Ichthyosaur will put all of that into context for you. This park is very remote. If you pay close attention to their site, you may note that there is a preferred way to get there down a nice paved route, State Route 844. We went that way when we left the park, and it was indeed smooth sailing. But as for the approach, since we had some other stops to make, we opted to take a dirt road route to get to the park, and since Google Maps also told us to go that way. Which is something they caution you about. They do not recommend going the way we came in, which Google may also recommend, which we'll show you. We started our day exploring south of Berlin Ichthyosaur at the Crescent Sand Dunes, or Tonopah Sand Dunes, right outside of Tonopah.
This is a great little spot. At least on a day like today. Other times you might hear the sound of off-roaders, I'm sure.
From the dunes we got great views of the Crescent Dunes Solar Energy Project, an impressive solar farm out in the beautiful desert. The dunes were fun to play on too. From there we took the well-maintained Pole Line Road to Cloverdale Ranch Road to Golden Wash Road. We found the roads to be in excellent condition and passable for just about any vehicle, but conditions can change. The drive was also very scenic and beautiful, and gives you a taste of the remoteness of this region.
But I just think it is the vastness, the same kind of vastness that I've remarked on at Death Valley, that some of you know what I'm talking about. It's like that kind of scale out here.
And eventually, it takes you right to the doorstep of Berlin Ichthyosaur State Park, right where we needed to be. So a little about the park itself. The Berlin in Berlin Ichthyosaur refers to the historic mining ghost town that has some remarkably well-preserved buildings. Berlin is a time capsule from the 1890s when mining was beginning to take hold in the region. This was near the time of the large booms of nearby Tonopah and Goldfield, Nevada. And just like with those mining booms, things started to decline around 1907 after a financial panic, and by 1911 the town of Berlin was abandoned. Today you can see a collection of remaining structures and freely roam the property.
This is an impressive structure though, it's very big. You can see how it's kind of leaning too if you look carefully. I mean, the floor is completely bowed. Anyway, this is where I would say the bulk of the town site is. You see the giant mill up there and other buildings. We will be touring those. But first I wanted to start with a little bit more down home here, where you literally have a few people's homes on display so we can get a sense of what it was like to live out here.
You can take a peek into one of the mines and see many relics, all while enjoying the expansive views of the Great Basin.
Seems like the mine had 8 levels to it, so they did end up making multiple levels to this, but here you go. Stick our hand through the bars and actually enter the mine, technically. That is your mine. Are there any ghosts in here? And from inside the mine, the ore was pushed out to be dumped.
We thought the mill was one of the most impressive structures, but all the rest gave us a wonderful glimpse into a different time and place. There's much more to explore here than may initially meet the eye, so make sure to get the walking tour map to assist you with your exploration. Now, let's shift to dinosaurs. Well, not really dinosaurs, but reptiles that thrived during the age of dinosaurs, the Ichthyosaurs. Ichthyosaur actually means fish lizard. Ichthyosaurs made their appearance about 250 million years ago and stuck around until about 90 million years ago. These creatures varied greatly in size, ranging anywhere from 3 to 85 feet in length or 1 to 26 meters. So some varieties got quite large. These were not actual dinosaurs, but lived during the time of dinosaurs. They are thought to have evolved from land reptiles, similar to how dolphins evolved from land mammals. It's here at the state park where they unearthed some impressive fossils of these creatures and what gives the park half of its name. Very near to the campground, within walking distance, is a structure that protects the Ichthyosaur fossils. You can either take a guided tour or, like us, peer through 2 viewing windows and match up letter signs with the actual fossils. This was actually a great way to see the fossils and highly satisfying. If you want to take a tour, be careful as you need to have cash. And they do not have ATMs or any services here at Berlin Ichthyosaur. We learned this the hard way, and even tried driving out to the town of Gabs in search of an ATM, and found not a single gas station, grocery store, nothing. So especially if you want to camp overnight here, be prepared and bring everything you'll need. Okay, this is Camp View, and you probably came here to get an idea about the campground. Hopefully we painted a clear picture of the remoteness and lack of services of Berlin Ichthyosaur, so if you are able to camp here, it's an excellent way to maximize your time and enjoyment of the park. And luckily, the campground here is great. The campground is up a ways behind the town site amongst juniper and pinyon pines. The campground is on the smaller side at 14 sites total, and the park now has a reservation system, so you can visit reservenevada.com and book a site at this campground. We'll put a link in the description section. Each campsite has the usual suspects when it comes to amenities. Here's a look at the basics you'll get if you camp here.
So Site 14, as well as many other sites, if not all of them, have these pavilions for shade and these nice aluminum tables, picnic tables underneath, and then a fire ring with an attached grill. But as you can see, there are fire restrictions, as there almost always seem to be in these juniper pine forests. Therefore, a good policy to follow as always is bring propane with you, because that's I've always seen that accepted. Now, one thing to make note is I read, and it says on their website that they only offer water service, I think April to October or something like that. I'm actually delighted and surprised though to see trash cans. I take it they don't have any major bear problems up here. And I guess while we're here and we're talking amenities, this place does have restrooms. It is a pit toilet, it looks like, but it's very clean in here.
We opted to stay in Site 14, which is one of the first sites you'll see when you drive into the campground. There were a couple qualities we liked about this campsite over others that we saw.
This here is why I really like this site, though, is how it's the flattest I saw, at least by car, and you have that view of the valley we came from below. You can see we climbed an elevation.
As you'll soon see, the biggest challenge you may encounter here is that many of the sites are a little uneven and hilly and lack nice level ground, especially for tent campers. Across the street from Site 14 is Site number 1. This is a good example of a site with a nice long level driveway, great for a small RV or camper van, but probably not the best for a tent.
By the way, if I didn't say it, I didn't see a place to even pitch a tent back there, did you?
Now's a good time to state that the maximum recommended length for RVs here is 25 feet, and they do not have any electric or water hookups. Next to my site, on the same side of the road, is Site 13, and this is another site that has a decent sized driveway, but similar to Site 14, 13 is also spacious and has level ground for tent campers. Now, we couldn't examine every site that day as several were occupied, but here are a few comments we made about certain sites, which are pretty representative of many.
I don't think my eyes were deceiving me too much when I was doing my drive-by. Because I was like, yeah, I just don't see unless it was tucked behind somewhere. I didn't see anywhere to set up a tent. I mean, you could absolutely do something right here. So I really shouldn't say that, and that may not be a bad option. So if you look at it that way, I guess, you could even move the table maybe and have it underneath the awning if you wanted. Site number 3 is a quaint little one. I would say shorter driveway. Good for like a van, I would say. Site number 5. And this is another one that I was remarking, oh, it gets hilly back here. Site number 11. So this one's a little more level than usual here in the driveway. I would give this one high marks for tent camper. I would say even my tent, a 6-person tent, I think you'll be able to squeeze in there something bigger. Other than that, make note. Tent campers, this site is your jam.
So to summarize, although we couldn't examine every site, our favorites were Site 14, the one we camped at, neighboring Site 13, which would be a good choice for a tent camper or RV, and Site 1 seemed to have the longest driveway of the day, and Site 11 is the site I'm going to book the next time I camp here in my tent. All the rest, even the slightly hilly ones, would work, and I don't think you'd be unhappy with any choice in a landscape like this. But we'd love to hear from any of you who have camped here. Comment down below and let us know your experience. This episode was derived from 3 different long-format videos from our other channel, the Cactus Atlas. There is much of interest we didn't show you here, so if you want more, go check those out, and we'll link to them in the description. We hope we give you a good idea about what camping is like at Berlin Ichthyosaur, as well as what there is to do. Be sure to subscribe to CampView for future campground overview videos like this one, as well as other helpful content for campers. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.